You have to stick to your guns. You have to find something that you can do that maybe other people couldn't do. And even if that seems different or doesn't fit into people's expectations, that's what's going to distinguish it if you can do it successfully. For me, I think the answer was definitely to try to play to my strengths and the things that I personally was passionate about, rather than trying to appeal to some desire that you imagine other people have. I think you have to be true to your own passion and your own sense of what excites you as a storyteller.
Last time it was no tennis. You know the tennis. Last time it went no tennis.
Hello, I am the Nemo. You probably recognize me from places such as class. If you haven't heard of me or you don't know much about me, I am an inspiring and aspiring filmmaker, more specifically a video editor. In fact, if you go on Amazon Prime, you will notice my first film that I was an assistant editor for, The Vast of Night, recently released. It was actually in theaters and during the drive-in. I got to go see it with some of my friends. It was actually pretty awesome. And if you look quickly in the credits, you'll see my name. In fact, the only credit that has a typo in it. So that's pretty awesome. But for this particular presentation, I'm here to talk about someone who I find as a leader. Now, as a filmmaker, there's typically one person everyone always says, that's George Lucas. But even though his films did inspire me and I feel like his leadership paved the way for a lot of movies, there's one person in particular that stood out to me above him, and that person is Christopher Nolan.
Nolan, Nolan, Chris, Nolan, Nolan, Chris, Nolan, Nolan, Chris, Nolan, Nolan, Chris.
Who is that? Stockholders. What?
Yeah, they end every meeting like that.
For those of you who may not be aware, Christopher Nolan is probably one of the biggest influential filmmakers in the past 10 or 15 years. While there have been other filmmakers that have gone on to do great things, I believe that Christopher Nolan is one of those filmmakers that everyone talks about, especially in my generation. When it comes to film, watching movies, and how they are made, Christopher Nolan is in fact one of the most influential and biggest leaders in Hollywood right now. But for this presentation, I want to go over 3 different things that I feel like encapsulates all of the leadership qualities that Christopher Nolan embraces. And that starts with his writing. In all but one of his movies, Christopher Nolan has had a hand in the writing process. In the 2010 film Inception, Christopher Nolan writes the main character as a leader who has a high emotional intelligence. I want to show you a clip from this scene that illustrates that point.
Subconscious is motivated by emotion, right? Not reason. We need to find a way to translate this into an emotional concept.
How do you translate a business strategy into an emotion?
That's what we're here to figure out, right? Now, Robert's relationship with his father is stressed, to say the least.
Well, can we run with that? We could suggest to him breaking up his father's company as a screw you to the old man.
No, because I think positive emotion trumps negative emotion every time. We all yearn for reconciliation, for catharsis. We need Robert Fisher to have a positive emotional reaction to all this.
All right, we'll try this. My father accepts that I want to create for myself, not follow in his footsteps.
That might work.
Another thing I like about the movie Inception is that Nolan writes his characters as flawed. The main character isn't a perfect leader. He has mistakes. He has to face consequences for his actions, but he is also self-aware and able to rely on his crew members that he had put together to help him work through his emotional trauma. We don't have time to show it, but I would recommend everyone to watch Inception, especially pay attention to the leadership and team collaboration that takes place during the film. In fact, that's going to go on to my second element of why I think Christopher Nolan is a great leader, and that is his directorial skills. I feel like his actual directing, separate from his writing, is also how he shows leadership. And in fact, I think as a film director, that's the biggest way he shows his leadership. As a director, he has to put together teams and worked with crew members of almost 1,000 people at times for different scales of production. Now, for this particular section, I want to talk about his role as a leader when it comes to delegating responsibilities, as well as earning the trust and respect of the actors that are in his movies.
Chris always sets the tone. He sets the tone for me and for the actors. The actor on a Chris Nolan shoot is very much, it's very much part of a crew.
Do you feel the sense that this is someone who's telling the story this way because that's what he passionately believes in?
This man, he just stands there. I don't know how he does it. He's right there. His involvement is more than 100%.
He really loves it. He can just keep shooting. The rain's coming down. He's like loving it.
You lose the right to complain about anything. I mean, it's a good move on his part.
It's infectious. You can't help but to want to keep going and give it your all.
I've never worked with a better leader. I cannot say I've ever worked with a better problem solver. And half of the problems he just solves by pure will. That everything must keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. He never goes backwards. He never goes backwards. He's not a perfectionist. I thought he was going to be a perfectionist. He's not a perfectionist. He actually wants the imperfections.
He was really open to you offering whatever you had going on. I think partly the reason he cast us because he trusted our taste and he wanted us to bring what we had to the floor, and he completely allowed that. You were coming up with all sorts of suggestions, and he would, he wrote the script, and he'd be like, well, let's try it, throw it in, try it. He wasn't precious about it at all. Which really made a huge difference for us. It gave us a real freedom to play about.
It's wonderful working with people who will completely tell you the truth. There's no agenda in the creative conversations. It's a very honest response. You need people around you who you have that relationship with, whether they're family or people you've worked with a long time.
Nora, who will tell you the truth even sometimes when you don't want to hear it.
Especially when you don't want to.
A part of being an important leader is understanding those who you put together around you and being able to trust those people with things that you may not be aware of. And lastly, outside of just writing, directing, and producing movies, he has shown leadership outside of that sphere within the larger umbrella of Hollywood, and how he handles himself with other filmmakers, producers, directors, and how he's leading a movement to save cinema, to protect and conserve how film is produced.
I think film's extremely important from a couple of different points of view. For myself as a filmmaker, being able to have the choice to shoot on film, to shoot on celluloid, which is what I love and what I choose to do, that's been under threat the last couple of years, very much. There's been an economic imperative to push digital technology because it's perceived as being cheaper, which it isn't necessarily. And so over the last couple of years, filmmakers like myself who wanted to continue shooting on film have been under increasing pressure to modernize, or whatever you want to call it. But for me, film will always have this wonderful richness, the analog color it has, the superior resolution. And when film is projected, the way it was originally intended to be seen, the way you shot the film, you project the film, there's a very unique experience for the audience there that they can't get in their living rooms. And I think that's something that's very, very important.
Now, I hope it gives you a better understanding as to why I like Christopher Nolan so much and why I see him as the leader. What stood out to me for Christopher Nolan, not just his filmmaking, his technique, his writing, and his leadership in regards to keeping film. For Christopher Nolan, I have the utmost respect for him to keep his head held high, to produce the content that he does, and also bring others with him.
This is his apex mountain because this is where he really dealed him with a big subject and brought Warner Brothers along with him in the exact way Stanley Kubrick would have done, bringing Warner Brothers along with him. And they backed him 100%.
Thank you for watching this presentation about Christopher Nolan. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I should be standing over there or sitting over there. Remember to watch The Vast of Night on Amazon Prime.